Ja, herzlich willkommen im Schafhof, dem Europäischen Künstlerhaus des Bezirks Oberbayern, zu unserem Kunsttag 77, zur Ausstellung Eastern Sugar Oberbayern. Und ich bin sehr froh, Künstlerinnen und Künstler aus der Ausstellung hier willkommen zu heißen und natürlich auch endlich wieder Publikum hier bei uns im Haus zu haben. Es geht wieder richtig los. Die Ausstellung ist schon seit April jetzt hier im Haus, aber jetzt ist sie, wie gesagt, auch wieder zu besichtigen. Das Ganze läuft auch im Jahresthema Europa. Ja, und wir haben jetzt Gäste auch aus Europa hier und deswegen werde ich jetzt auch auf Englisch übergehen. Welcome again, welcome everybody for the artist talk in the framework of Kunsttag 77. Yeah, we are here with the exhibition Eastern Sugar Oberbayern. We didn't translate it by purpose. It's Upper Bavaria, part of Bavaria, and I'm very happy that two of the artists from the show are here and one of the curator, and actually three of the artists, because we have Heath Bunting there on the screen. And hello Heath. Great to have you here, and it's a really pity he didn't see the show yet in original, so I hope you will make it until July 18th. Yeah, and I'm very happy that Ilona Németh is here. She is way the heart of the whole project. We will talk about that later. Her piece, her big installation is in the barrel vault in the first floor. And I'm very happy to have Mladen Miljanović here, who is just sitting in front of his amazing piece. We will talk about that later because it's not the only part, so there are more parts. I see one in your hand already. Yeah, and I'm happy that Alexis Versky is here, the curator from the one part of the show, Crossing Borders, with Heath Bunting, with Mladen Miljanović, and with the duo Wermke Leinkauf. They couldn't be here, unfortunately, but their work is here as well. Yeah, so great that you are here. I would like to tell that we have another artist talk, so if you feel that maybe you don't know enough or you want to know something else, please join us at July 4th at the same time, Sunday 4 p.m. And there we have a presentation by Edith Andrasch, and Ilona Németh will be here again, so we can then go deeper in the whole world of Eastern Sugar, because this is an international project founded by the European Commission in the framework of the Creative Europe program. So I'm very happy that we could work together with all these great partners. Yeah, so but first I think I would like to ask all of you to introduce yourself and talk a bit about your work in general, and maybe about this part what you did here. If you don't mind, so maybe we start with Alexis Versky, with the curator, and then we jump from one to the other. And yeah, I would like to welcome the audience as well. If you have questions, and you are invited to take part in the talk, and yeah, so we are very interested in your opinions, and yeah, it's like we are almost like a circle here, sitting with distance, but we can hear each other. Yeah, Alexis, I'm very happy that you joined us as a curator for the show, because I mean, you're an artist yourself. You work in Freising and Munich and all over the world. So, please.
So, Eike already told everything I would like to tell you. Well, my name is Alexis Versky. I'm an artist, and I'm really from Freising, and I work a lot in Freising, but often I'm on the tour. I travel to different countries, and this traveling was now really hard, as everyone knows, in this corona pandemic situation. And so, maybe this was also one aspect that we're dealing in this exhibition with Europe, with borders, and with crossing these borders not by an official way, but by artistic ways. And so I'm quite happy that I could help to make the show, and I'm happy that the artists, Mladen and Heath Bunting, two of the artists of the show downstairs, and also Ilona, she's also at the show downstairs making a transition to her show upstairs. You're here, and I'm interested on the talk now with you, with the audience, and with the artists.
Yeah, so maybe Ilona could follow, because we could say everything started with her. So, of course, with a lot of other people as well, with the whole project, Eastern Sugar. It's running now since some years, so maybe you can talk about yourself as an artist, and then maybe the start of the project, because then we could just continue with this particularly part of the show here to come to see how it came to that.
So hello to everybody. I'm Ilona Németh. I'm an artist who is working in Slovakia and mostly in Middle Europe. I started to work with the topic of the sugar, like with the project of Eastern Sugar, some years ago, 2017, when I made first exhibition about that. But my practice is intermedia artwork. My medium is intermedia. It means that I'm using the media but I need for to talk about my content. Sometimes I'm making sugar loaves, sometimes I'm making videos, sometimes I'm making installations. I used to teach also at the University of Fine Art, at Academy of Fine Art in Bratislava.
Because they are the heart of the whole show.
As you already mentioned, Eike, Eastern Sugar is a project, and in this project are several institutions all around Europe involved. And of course, by looking for artists, we were collaborating with these other institutions. We were getting in contact. Do they know artists? What ideas they have? And Rotor Graz, one institution that also is involved in this project, they were talking about Mladen Miljanović. They told us, do you know him and his work? And we were looking at Mladen, and now we know you very well, I think, and we're happy that you're here. And I would like to give the microphone to you. Maybe you can tell us who you are and what's your work about.
Yeah, thank you. First, I need to say I'm very happy in the name of all of us that we are first again alive all together. Public, all general project that Ilona was telling about, Alexis to curate. I'm very small to talk in front of the big work behind my back, which somehow is too monumental. And the obvious aspect of the work behind me, which Alexis curated for this show, it's the one that you can read deals directly about crossing the borders and migrants who were on the route through the Bosnia were stuck at, the project is from 2019. But what I will also say here and mention as one important part which is not obvious, because this what is obvious you can conclude yourself, but what is not obvious that in this project I was dealing also how today we are bordering the knowledge. I think that much more difficult and dangerous is the bordering the knowledge. So one of the examples in this work where the knowledge is bordered, it's my experience from the military. Before the Academy of Arts, I was 6 months in a military school. After this military school, as a lieutenant, I trained 30 young soldiers after the war in Bosnia. And then I quit with that. And during all my service, because it was obligatory, I was thinking, why do I need this knowledge about, different military tactics, shootings, attacks, defense, and everything? So I was thinking that it's like unusable knowledge later on, but I think that there is no unusable knowledge. There is just using at the spot, different spots. So basically, the idea of bordering the knowledge starts in the military books that are exhibited here on the first page, where is written military secret intern. So anyone who discovered this content from these military books, it's legally guilty and can go on the court because of that. So this is just one obvious example how knowledge is exclusive. From the other side, in today's world, through the universities and the managements that are there only to gain a profit, we have monetized knowledge. So those who are poor are not equipped to gain a knowledge, same those who has money. Yeah. So my idea was here how we can blur these borders between knowledge. The knowledge which is exclusive, and basically in 2019, curator of Krak Center for Contemporary Art in Bihać, Irfan Hosić, and me started this project, Didactic Wall, where we were discussing what is the role of cultural institutions in burning social problems. Can art intervene into those problems? Can individuals offer solutions where systematic solution failed? And it's quite obvious in Bosnia when it's about migrations that systematic solutions failed. So we were thinking in a way what we can do, and then I came to idea that I use my military books that I have. It's actually military books from ex-Yugoslavia, from Yugoslav National Army from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So with a team of artists and my friends, we scanned these schemas from on different subjects, like overcoming natural barriers that you learn in army, overcoming the artificial barriers like walls. Also there is orientation, first aid, signalization when you are in a danger. So what we did when we scanned these, we in Illustrator manipulated these illustrations by removing the weapons from these illustrations, because it was military illustrations, and we turned them into the civilian. So basically this process of earthing the weapons, it was demilitarization of the knowledge and putting it back into the civil service. So this momentum is a transition from isolated knowledge into the public knowledge. So after that, basically, we created 2 parts of the project. Of course, most visible is the didactic wall behind it, which I created to be monumental as a token, to attract people, to pay attention. It's like a hook for fishermen. And then the main part, and the most important, is this manual. What I'm very happy, and I need to say thank you to Schaffhoff, because we printed completely new edition of this book for this purpose, and with the additional translation on German, because in the book it's a translation on everything, Urdu, Farsi, Spanish, English, and now we have also German as well. So I think this component, to include as much as possible languages, it's a language strategy to lift it on a more universal aspect of the knowledge. And I need to say before I finish my part, it's not exclusively for the migrants. It's for hikers, for mushroom pickers. When we created, and when I was talking with the designers for this book, we made one edition that, for example, that's why it's pocket. So if you find yourself in a minefield, for example, and your phone is dead, you roll this book, you burn it, and the smoke out of this book is in a color. So this color should signalize the danger, somebody in a wilderness being in danger. So it was idea also that even destruction of this book helped to someone. So maybe I stop here.
We will continue, but
of course.
I think it's a very good point when you told this, it could be a almost everyday situation to have get orientation and so on, and it's a very good connection to his work, because he's doing that what looks like a walk in the first time, but during that he crosses borders, and he also has a little book. Have you the book there? So this exhibition is you can take away and you can participate. So it's a very intensive exhibition. Also in Ilona's part, you can work, you can do something, and so this looks like a flower guide, a plant guide, So what is behind? How did you, because you are crossing borders for decades, when I understood well. So tell a bit about yourself and how it came to the project, because it's an ongoing project. And please try to, because we have a bit difficult to understand, to say it in a short, slow words, maybe.
I'm growing and distributing vegetables now.
Sorry?
I grow vegetables and sell them to people.
Alexis, you understand something?
Nothing.
Maybe Alexis could
What is so bad?
Okay.
No, try again.
What's bad about my internet connection?
So maybe Alexis could introduce you a little bit, and then we can see when we can ask you something that it's easier to make a short questions.
Eike was asking before how we find out about the artist, how we made the concept of the exhibition. About Mladen, I was already telling a few sentences, and Heath Bunting, I got into contact 10 or maybe 20 years ago at an exhibition at Kunstverein München, and Heath Bunting was not doing an exhibition there, but he was doing a workshop and a presentation, and he was showing his border acting project, a project where he was hiking, where he was walking across borders, not in the official way. He was not using the road from Bavaria to Austria, but he was climbing the mountains, hiking in the woods. And it reminds me about what was Mladen was telling about how to find orientation, how to find the way in the wilderness. But Heath Bunting, of course, was not a refugee, he was an artist. And though the project is not only about crossing borders in a physical way, but also crossing borders in the head, crossing borders of art and other social fields. And that's quite important because Heath Bunting is so well known as an internet artist. He is really one of the pioneers of the net art, and this project, Border Xing, also has to do a lot with the digital space, because also in internet there are borders and not everything is accessible to everyone. And that, I think, is the very idea of this project, Border Xing, that borders are not only out there in the fields, but also within our brains, and art can help to cross these borders.
Yeah, and in our information we wrote that he's working crossing borders in the real and in the virtual world. So maybe we try to cross this border that the sound doesn't work. Maybe you could write the answers down and you hold it to the camera so we could read it.
Oh, me? I should do it in the chat, can't I? I should do it in the chat.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Ah, very good. Yeah, that's even good. Do we see that?
You can put the
Yeah.
art on a screen.
Okay. Good. It's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe Alexis, you can read it because I
Yeah.
can't read
Hello?
it from here. Hello.
Hello,
That's
Heath. So maybe you don't know, Heath Bunting at the moment, he's living and working in Great Britain, and for him it was, due to the corona pandemic, not yet possible to travel to Germany, to Freising, because there are still borders at the moment.
Can you read it, Alexis?
Hello, very basic. I'm growing vegetables to escape lockdown. To get out of the house and create value.
So, Heath, how did you come to the Crossing Border project? What was your first crossing when you realized that this could be a part of your project? Which border you crossed?
Spain to France, Port Vaux, with a Serbian refugee. So also we have the link to the work of Mladen Miljanović. And how was it? What was the most difficult border? Did you ever fail, or was it easy to go over all borders in Europe? UK, France. Of course, there is the tunnel, and you have to swim. That was the hardest. And that's especially that is a border many people really want to cross. So only very little people would like to go from Bavaria to Austria the illegal way, or we don't know, maybe. Ike is shaking his head. But from France to Great Britain, really many people would go, and it's really hard. I became classified as a terrorist for that crossing. He's right.
So you were caught when you. So did they catch you?
Not caught on border. They caught me everywhere else.
So maybe just to complete the exhibition, we could some minutes talk about the third work, because this is really connected to that.
I think he was really mentioning a almost perfect link when he was telling us that he was classified as a terrorist, because also Wermke Leinkauf, the artist duo from Berlin, they were as well classified as terrorists. Not with the project we are showing, but with maybe their most famous project. They went to New York, and they were climbing. Climbing for them is a very essential artistic strategy. Nearly in all the projects they are climbing. And in New York they were climbing the Brooklyn Bridge, and on top of the Brooklyn Bridge there are two United States flags. And they were climbing illegal up to this bridge, and they were removing the United States flags, and put, instead of the United States flags, they put a white flag, two white flags. And that was seen by the United States, I'm not sure by the governor of New York or even by the president, as an act of terrorism. They were really telling on the television and the newspapers that they will hunt down those terrorists and they will find them. And so Wermke Leinkauf really became afraid and immediately were leaving to Germany with being very silent that no one sees it. But after a while, they were asking how to get out, because they were really have been searching by the police and by the FBI and by the CIA. And though they gave back the original American flags in a special way of folding them and with a lot of respect, and though they are no longer seen as terrorists, and though they continue to work and show and produce a new work that is shown also in the exhibition here. And that work deals with climbing again, but with climbing not directly over the Berlin Wall. Ilona and
so it's so we come back to the whole project of the changing in 1989, because this project includes material from the former Eastern German military, so it has also the connection to Mladen's work. They have photographs from the army, how they try to climb walls, but not to show how to do it, but to learn how to build a wall where you can't climb over. So it's you see both sides of the subject, and then they reenacted the situation on the border where the border has been before, on normal fences and houses. So of course it has this idea as well. So I think a lot of, for me at least, for a lot of the works are also, crossing the borders in our head. And so maybe we could go back to Ilona and ask her, because we went, starting from your project, we went somewhere and we found great projects. But how is it for you? Because it was also a new perspective for you, I guess.
Yep.
So how did you see that?
So yes, when we constructed after my exhibition the whole project for the Creative Europe, the goal was not to repeat my research or not to repeat my artistic work, but to raise questions which our partners and the invited artists can answer or can be inspired to make new works from the different perspectives. And as you told that the borders are in our minds, the borders are different ways. So when the idea that you will continue with the borders, I really I was first surprised, but after that I was happy with that, because I think it's important to talk about that if there are still borders between our experiences, if there are still borders between the parts which earlier were divided, if you are talking about Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, or about Germany, or we are talking about Czechoslovakia as well, and not just politically, what does it mean? I am living in Bratislava, which is not really 100 kilometers from Vienna, but in our minds, the border is still there, and if you are asking people in Vienna how far is Bratislava, then you get the answer that it is 300 kilometers. And if you are asking in Bratislava, we feel that it is just 50. So it means that those borders are still alive, and then still are coded in our bodies. So that's why I think this part of the whole Eastern Sugar project is very important part, and is talking about that. And in your project, it's absolutely visible that and understandable that you were your reaction was in your work about the last biggest issue of the crisis of the migration, and also based on your experiences from the Balkan Wall. So this aspect is absolutely relevant in the whole story, I think so. So maybe you can continue with that about the work what we have here present.
As a Freud says, all what we do later are the recycling trauma from the childhood, yeah? And in my childhood, during the elementary school, the front line in the war was just 1,000 meters from my house. So I went each day 8 kilometers by foot to school, and I never knew it. When I go to school, would maybe the front line move, so I go back as a refugee somewhere, not coming back. So in my mind, since then, as a child, the borders were very unstable term in a way. And also from the side, if we talk about the barriers, like when we say border, you immediately imagine barrier, no matter wall, the wire fence, minefield, or whatever else. But I think to deconstruct the notion in linguistical or a pragmatical way, the term of borders, we should not try to destroy this term and to eliminate it, but to transform it in something which is not anymore obstacle. And that was the, for example, reason why I gave a title to this piece, Didactic Wall. So for me, on a linguistical level, as we are now in a realm of Wittgenstein theory, was important to something which is obstacle to name as an object which helps you to overcome this obstacle. So the title is very paradoxical, but that was the reason to make something big which looks like to prevent you to go somewhere, but at the end you learn on it. You know how to overcome difficult situations. And I think that somehow the necessity of the cultural institutions and let's say the culture in general, not talking about art. When we talk about art, I would say this is a very narrow field. When we talk about the culture, we talk about some global term in a way. And I think that purpose of the culture today, it's not to use art as a field of intervention, but to use art as a tool in a society to help to put a light on some problems like you do in this exhibition, and to offer at least utopian ways to overcome these problems that we face in society.
Yeah, I also think that these borders, they are more also symbols. So symbols that there are differences between different areas, otherwise there wouldn't be a border. And also these areas are changing. So my first step from this project was that we speak about changes after '89, in a good way, bad way, different way. So that's why. So then we got to the borders, and I would like to bring in Heath again. I don't know if he wrote something in between, because now I think it was really interesting to hear that what Mladen reason is, or one of the reasons to deal with borders. So I understood that it was really personal and really close to yourself. So maybe Heath, you could tell, how did you come to this topic to cross borders, sitting on an island? So you have to mostly swim, or how did you start? And maybe you could also make references to, because you are a very known person from internet art, what also means a kind of different area. So maybe if you can write about, so how was your intention, or how did you get this big temptation to cross borders without permission?
I witnessed my friends being detained at borders often and wanted to rebel. He wanted to rebel, of course, yeah. Corrected.
And what made you? Is?
Yeah.
Do you have, so what made you really going outside? Because it was the same time when you started to work with the internet, what is or was dreamt to be borderless.
I have been an outside person, street person all the time. People mostly knew me via internet art through them. But I don't know he's only about his internet art, because when I met you in Munich, let's say 20 years ago, you were also teaching how to climb. And you were talking about how to climb, so to bring also back again Wermke, Leinkauf, they are climbing, and also you are climbing. What is it about? Yes, he's writing.
And actually, he was supposed to do a workshop here on spot for climbing, but it seems that it won't be happen until middle of July.
I have been climbing seriously since I was 13 years old. So you were writing, you were climbing seriously, and to pick out the word seriously, when the work of Mladen really looks very seriously. It's a serious topic with refugees who became injured, who are on the run. But when we look at your work, but also skateboarding and canoeing, but when we look at your work, sometimes there is also a little bit of irony, of fun, of adventure. Is it like this, or am I wrong? And mountain biking? So is crossing borders also a funny adventure? And caving? Making it into an extreme sport also. But also not only to an extreme sport, I think, but also to a very clever way of sport. Because especially if you have a look at the book, you can take the little booklet over there. You see it's a very clever way, I think, to deal with crossing borders and bringing it into relation with plants. And there are many links in your work. So
Yeah, Mladen?
Can I add just to Heath last sentence he wrote us? Also, the migrants that I were meeting in Bosnia for this project told us that they call the crossing borders, they call it games. So when someone from the camp goes to cross the border, they call it games. So it's like extreme sport, you know, like it's the discipline of the extreme sport is this what Heath wrote, that it's like a combination of the different disciplines which can help you on the hand. But I think also it's a question, what if someone accidentally crossed the border? Like you don't know that there is a border, because in the nature there are many places that you don't know where that there is a border, you know.
To bring it back to the nature and to the plants, they do not know any borders. The seeds just flow across the borders.
Yeah, and I think also that his project and other projects, of course, but his project is very much about freedom. So just the best is if you don't need to take care. But of course you have to, and this little book with the flowers, it also has then in the end some sentences what this can mean. You know, it's nice and it's nature, but still we are humans and we always have something in our mind.
Heath is writing, I have been attacked by wild animals when I have crossed into their territory.
Yes. So when we put up the exhibition, we already were looking for connected to the project. When you which countries you have been, like in Slovakia, in Austria, and so on. Just to make the circle that you had a lot of trips here in Central Europe, no?
Yes, he writes yes. I was working only with European Union, which was supposed to be a free travel zone at the time. So all the borders he was crossing in his project were European borders, and that's why I think this project really fits to the theme of the year of Schaf to Europe.
Yeah. So maybe we can, of course, we continue to talk with each other, but we also could open it for the public. So if you want, tell us, and I'm very happy that also the curator of the part in the first floor, on the first floor with the Sugarloaf Manufactory and Archive. She is with us, Nina Vrbanova. I don't know, I saw her before. And I'm also happy to welcome Pia Lanzinger. She is one of the artists who will be part of the show in Graz. And you were here for 2 months for making research for sugar factories. But everybody else, yes, if you have questions, please, or anything what came to your mind, connectations, then yeah, go ahead. So,
In
like
military terms, we will say shoot.
Okay, you could say that with the film camera as well.
Okay.
So that's why I'm comfortable with that. But yes.
Yeah, so Mladen, you told me that we can maybe enter here again this border topic. This was the first trip for you after the borders were crossed due to Corona. So what are your next plans? Which are the next borders you are going to cross by your artwork?
Yeah, it was now these new rules for the travelings asked like many papers, like did you get the corona, the COVID test, did you vaccinated, and so on and so on. And I was not sure would they let me in an airplane in Sarajevo. because the European Union issued these terms and conditions for non-European, and Bosnia is non-European. Non-European Union, yeah. So they asked me, we have a section of business, like we have a section of medical workers, we have a section connecting families, like, and which you are. And I was saying that none of these. I mean, it's not a business. We don't have a contract.
We do.
We have, yeah.
Of
okay,
course, you
then
signed it.
what's the fee?
You get money. You get money, of course.
So they didn't know where to put, because they were meaning on a business that some company invite you for a year to work or something like that. And they tell me, okay, we will put you on a plane and we are not responsible if they don't accept you in Germany. And I was changing planes in Vienna. So I was thinking, okay, if they drop me out in Vienna, you know, I always have manuals with me, and so I will smuggle somehow to Germany over Tyrol or some other places, so it will not be a problem. Yeah. So, but yeah, but I think as we were saying at the beginning and smiling on that also this previous 1.5 years created really some invisible borders that people are still having as anxiety. You can feel that on airports, you can feel that everywhere, and I think the fear is the element of use in that, and sometimes we cannot resist it. So, but we should somehow make it aware of it and try to sublime this moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm one of the older people still remembering the borders before 89. So it was, especially between West and East, it could be very hard. And if you came from the East or from the Eastern Bloc, then it was really existential. So it's somehow a kind of, that you think, again, borders became that much important and hard to overcome. And I think, yeah, so this is what was happened with the whole society and with the industry. So that is what Ilona's work started with, that the borders were open, but then there were a lot of things happen, not only in the Eastern European countries, also here. Things were changing very much, and not always only to the better side. So maybe this is this kind of sensitive view on the whole history as well, and the whole things what's happened, because we always see only a little part and people forget and so on. So that's why I think this project is very interesting, very important, that you have a kind of atmosphere of this time when things changed. So maybe this is something what is we could talk about, because I think that's very important. So that you kept something, you keep something, and you come out documentate changes. What's always difficult.
So
I think that so we have to understand the period where we are still in. So it means that we are in the middle of the troubles. I think so. Also in the terms of the ecology, in the terms of the economy, and the terms of the imbalanced existence of the cultures and the countries and nations in the global perspective. So it means that we have to understand what we serve right in the different parts of the world. But it's as you told, Mladen, that we have this new experience, and if we confront the new experience that was a global experience, that we are globally in the trouble, it means that we have to think about all those issues also from that perspective. So because if I am talking about Middle Europe, it doesn't mean that I would like to tell just that I grew up 500 meters, as you told, 1,000. I grew up 500 meters from the sugar factory. It is just some kind of inspiration, some kind of starting point, and it's the same as you are starting with a small a small point, and then you are trying to understand the connections between things which are influence your lives and the lives of everybody. So it means that this understanding, this transformation after the 89 helps also to people on the other parts of Europe or anywhere else in the former Soviet Union, or we can talk about different parts of the world, to understand that how the somehow to understand that how the changes are connected to each other. So it means that also we are in the times when we are reflecting also the post-colonial past, we are criticizing the 200 years, the happenings from 200 years ago, but we are not able to criticize and to go deeper into the things what happened in the last 30 years. So I think this is the point of the whole project, that we have to think about that.
Yeah, I
And not make the same troubles, and not make the same decisions also nowadays.
Yeah, I think that this is very important when we mention now this recent, the idea of Corona and everything. I think it's the biggest global event after the Second World War that all humankind is faced and affected with, if we look that on a global level. But if we look at the level of the fragmentation of the pure subject, I think that it showed us that responsibility of, in this situation with the COVID infection, became same for everyone. No matter if you are CEO of some big multi-million company, or you are waiter and worker in a factory, the responsibility of each of these two persons is not to spread the virus. And I think this is something that these situations like COVID can learn us. That the global responsibility, it's not only if you are in some positions of the power, but also being a just pure subject of the society, I would say. And there is a nice sentence of the conceptual artist from Yugoslavia, Braco Dimitrijević, who says, if you look from the moon, there is no difference between Paris and some village in Bosnia. So, you know, like, it's just matter of the position and the perspective we observe the world we live in.
I think in general you're right. I wouldn't say that there's no difference between the effect on the CAO and the waiter from COVID, but that's maybe something we can't discuss here.
If you are the CEO of the company selling the masks.
Yeah. So, but I think what is important that, yes, you read if he says...
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe to bring Heath also back into the discussion, Heath already wrote a few minutes ago that he already had COVID for 3 times now. And he told me before on the phone about this. And my question would be, Heath, so during the time of isolation, during the time of quarantine, when you were not able to go out and cross borders in the physical way, have you been discovered new borders, new ways to cross ideas, or how was it when not being able to travel and to cross borders? I became a key worker so that I could go anywhere.
What worker? Sorry?
A key worker? What?
With keys?
What means key worker? It means by typing on the keys, maybe. Farmers and nurses are key workers. Okay, so because you already wrote that you became a farmer and you were growing your own food, he became an essential laborer.
I see, yeah. No, but I think also...
Artists are not essential workers. Do you agree with that, Ilona and Mladen?
So maybe I would like...
in capitalism.
Yeah, I would like to refer to his work as well, because when we talked that I mean, changes are always happen, but sometimes you see them better. And if you have, and this works, especially Ilona's work is like a spotlight on a very deep change. And of course, changing a border from one territory to other thing, then you can see that you change. There are a lot of things you don't see it on the first sight, and that's why I think his work is so good connected to your works, because in the most situation, like in the green borders, you don't see that there's changing anything, but still it is, and you see that it's a lot in your mind, and it makes, and the whole exhibition makes you more sensitive to realize borders and to think about, and I think that's why it's really well together to have this coming from the military, really hard obstacles, borders, then you come where you just walk, but still it's a border. And so this, I think, are the two extreme situations, and so we can experience it very well in the exhibition.
He's wrote, the border is now between Norma, I, and conspiracy theorists.
So, no, okay. So do you cross this border?
So
I like this sound, it's so great, it's really like another language.
20 years ago, only 1% of people read conspiracy theories. Now it's about 50%.
Yeah, but I think that Heath is completely right, because this bordering the knowledge and the monetization of knowledge in a capitalism that I was mentioning is directly producing this 50% of those who don't understand why the word of the scientist is important. For example, in the territory of ex-Yugoslavia, in Serbia, Bosnia, there is those conspiracy theorists who believe much more in leeches, that they will drink corona from the blood instead of the vaccination and the wearing the masks and things like that. So I think that we have now result in a practice through these conspiracy theorists, how uneducated and inequal world can lead us there. So.
Yeah, and it's in all territories actually, because with this change of the political systems and the industry after '89, it's also people didn't know what were going on, so it didn't came. Very often it didn't came to the public anyway, so they saw something. But sorry, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So it's just an aspect of the crossing border thing. I think crossing borders and borders has a lot to do with identity, because the group on this side of the border is another than the group on that side of the border. And if you cross a border illegally, it's always the question how to get invisible. Because okay, you cross the border physically, either you climb the border, anything, but the people on the other side, they will recognize you at the moment there you are. And it's a question to Heath and to you. So what's your strategy to stay invisible, to hide your original identity, not to fight when you arrive?
Maybe I can say one example. What friend told me, who is Gastarbeiter in Germany here, coming originally from Yugoslavia, and he wanted exactly what you were asking, how to camouflage himself in Germany, that his business, he's not background like Yugoslavia workers. So he was thinking how to name a company, and he was thinking what is the most common surname in Germany, and he said, I will give the company name Müller, And he gave a company name Müller, and then one of the first jobs that people invited him, the guy told him, okay, you should do it. It was some building construction work. But I know that you are not from Germany. And he was like immediately, how do you know? And because, like I have my company name Miller, and he says, you put only one L. He didn't put two L like Müller, like so. The idea is that you camouflage yourself. You should look how the haircut usually is, like, and dressing and. Yeah, so this Müller example, I think it's a good answer on your question.
Can I ask you that you were talking about invisibility, but why should you be invisible? So it means that you are in danger always if you are entering the other part of or the different identity. So I think we have to deal with this. We shouldn't be invisible. We should be not in danger if we are different. And this is the main point, I think. So to be in the safe environment.
The point is how far to assimilate and how far to keep the identity, to be safe and to be accepted.
Yeah.
Because that's the balance.
Alexis, did he write something?
No,
okay.
more.
Maybe he didn't hear the answer, no? That could be the question, sorry.
Yeah, what question?
Can you repeat the question?
I can answer better. Maybe you can repeat the question.
Yeah, but I need to hear it again, sorry. So it was about that borders are also borders between identities. That's why they are borders. And if you cross a border, then you try to be invisible, that people don't realize that you are from the other side. So how was it in your case? How did you stay invisible after crossing borders?
I use intimacy for security. I get very close to people.
Okay.
I always touch police that arrest me.
Sorry?
I always touch police that arrest me.
Ah, okay. Thank you very much. Do you have somebody more?
Any more questions from the
now
audience?
We have
There's a
microphone.
microphone.
Maybe now you will hear it as well.
Eingeschaltet.
He's probably. Wait one moment. Okay.
Ist es eingeschaltet? Ja. Okay. I had a question. I was looking at that plant guide, and I noticed there is a description to each picture of the plants. But in the description text, there is a sentence which is giving hints about how to hide yourself, and is that kind of a camouflage as well, that he is hiding the information in a simple plant guide?
Oh, that's a difficult word I have to read now. Steganography. You know this word?
Yeah, it's a kind of cryptography.
Yeah.
Okay. So you hear it? It's a kind of cryptography, some kind of making codes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
To hide information in pictures or text.
So when you hide information in pictures and in texts.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is what the book is about. I mean, that's why it is here. So it's not only a plant guide. So that's what I thought in the beginning. I tried to say that there are, if you read it on the end, so it starts with describing the plants, and then you read, okay, what is this information about? And then it's really hidden behind something. So this is, so I love that. So this is to make also association to things what you see, and then you say it's not only a plant, so it means much more, and you can make connection between a lot of different things. And I think that is a very nice example. And I don't know, I wanted to ask you, Heath, that it's called that it's only a part of the whole book. Do you have a larger book?
No,
Okay.
but it's good to call it a part of a larger book so everyone thinks, whoa, the whole story is bigger, and it definitely is.
I thought so, but I thought it's better to ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Now you're right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think if there are some more questions, because we always make it short and clear and stop at the best point, but I would like to ask you, everybody, to give a kind of final statement. Maybe we start with Heath and then we come here across the wall. And yes, please, Heath.
Hello, goodbye, and some kind of smiley.
Super. Okay.
So the audience is also winking. Well, a final statement. I'm really happy that it's now getting possible, at least for us, that we are able to cross borders in a physical sense and to continue working international. But with the exhibition, I learned somehow that it's not given by nature, or that there are borders for many people, and it's not so selbstverständlich, so easy for all people to go anywhere, and we learned it now, and I think we have to keep it in mind for all action later we are doing.
Yeah. Let's hear Heath first.
So he said goodbye, but now he continues to write. Get ready for the coming cyber war.
For the coming?
For the coming cyber war.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the warning.
I can conclude that
You are right.
you with your question gave me idea for maybe my next handbook, how to assimilate yourself, camouflage yourself in the new environment. When you already cross the border and you come to destination, you don't want to be different visible, but in society. So thank you for the question, and that's my conclusion. Yeah.
So I'm not going to make a conclusion. I'm really grateful that you are part of the Eastern Sugar project, and it was a really difficult. We have a difficult times during the pandemic because our whole project was based on the cooperation and traveling and get know each other from different perspectives. So maybe we have some months in front of us. So maybe we can really make some connections and after that continue in our common work. So thank you for cooperation.
Thank you for you that you were here. Thank you for the amazing works. And I hope we won't need a real firewall, so that would be too dangerous, but we will take care on the cyber war for sure. And the best, I think, to defend is always to get known each other and make networks, and I'm very happy that we as Schafhof, as the European Center for Art of the District Council of Upper Bavaria, Bezirk Oberbayern, that we can be part of that. I'm very thank you very much my crew, all people who helped on the technique and with everything else, and I hope to see you again. We will continue with the artist talk in the framework of this exhibition as well. And we will have another exhibitions, and I hope we will get and share a lot of new ideas.
So I think we can finish with a good word of Heath. Thanks everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.